Hello there, and welcome to the first in a hopefully long series of reviews that I'll be doing for this new channel and Facebook page that I am trying to promote and trying to build a community around. And this first episode will focus on the Thermaltake RGB Plus ecosystem, which is a system to synchronize all your RGB lighting to basically display the same effects, synchronize with each other, with the same colors, the same cycle of colors, all of that stuff. I will be focusing on the Riing Plus fans that I currently own. I will also show you what other options there are in terms of fans. There's a couple different types. And I will also try to review the software that comes included and that controls these fans, as well as the price of said fans. So I will go down to it, and I hope you guys enjoy my review. First off, this is the Thermaltake RGB Plus page where you can download the software. Obviously, you need hardware as well to use the software with. It has plenty of features. How well they work is a different story. It claims that it works with Amazon Alexa to voice control your fans and your RGB devices. I have not been able to test it since I do not own Alexa. I have tried the voice control that you can download it to your phone and try to control it through your phone. It's not exactly smooth. There's a delay, the commands don't always go through, so it seems good on paper, less good on practice. Further along, you have a whole list of everything that is controllable via the software. There's a whole bunch of stuff from cases to water blocks, keyboards, headsets, radiators, and the probably most popular would be the fans, the I/O coolers, which are basically fans because the radiator usually does not have RGB on it, other than in this case, and the LED strips that you can also apply to your case or whatever you have your PC. This is a whole list of all your possibilities. As I said, this is probably the more interesting part, the AIO coolers, which I am currently using an RGB Flow 360 with three 12 centimeter fans and the case fans, which there are several variations of. Now, as I said, there is an app that you can use on your phone. It does not work completely well. As you will see, it's a recurring theme with the Thermaltake software. Their hardware is very good, the software, you'll see. And you will have a few displays, a few previews of the available light modes. There is a sound control mode, as you can see, where the fans will light up according to the sound played. The flow is basic. Well, I will just show it to you myself on my own fans, but here you have a preview of everything that you can expect from your fans and from your software. And without further ado, I will give you a proper preview of the fans. As you can see, I have made the room a little bit darker so you can easily see it. I have tried to capture both the water block from the I/O cooler as well as the fans that are on the radiator. The other fans on the rest of my case are basically the same, so this will do. You might notice it's unusual setup that I have and an unusual case, and that is a very different story. I have built a desk build for my computer, which you will be able to check on the other videos that I have uploaded on the case. I hope you enjoy them, and feel free to give your input on that matter. But returning to the subject at hand, the fans. Right now, you can set up 5 fans per controller. I have currently 8 fans, so I have 2 controllers linked to each other. And right from the get-go, there is an annoying point, which is you cannot simply set one command on all the fans in one controller and apply to both controllers. No, you have to set it up on 2 controllers separately. From there you can save the profiles to easily switch, but you cannot just with one click give commands to fans that are on separate controllers. You have to do it controller per controller, which is a bit annoying. But in any case, um, each controller, as I said, has 5 fans. You can click here and select what is connected to each specific port in the controller. In this case, on the port 1, I have the water block itself, and then the other 3 fans are on this controller. And what you can do is you can set up each fan individually, or you can set one fan, in this case the water block, and then have the other ones copy the settings from the other so that they are all synchronized with each other instead of you having to have the work to do it individually. You have some very handy buttons here if you want to have it on the performance setting. That means it will be favoring rotations over silence, so that it will spin a bit faster, make a bit more noise, but also cool better. And you can, other than the pre-selected buttons, you have sliders that you can adjust how much do you want it at 80%, 70%, so on and so forth. So you have performance, which speaks for itself. It's increasing the RPMs to cool faster. You have silent mode, which will pump the rotations down to a minimum. And then you have PWM, which basically means that will auto adjust according to the CPU temperature. In this case, this is actually a good cooler. I have not noticed the temperatures going over 37, 38 degrees, and that's with me editing video, rendering video in After Effects, all that sort of stuff. So I have no complaints in terms of the actual cooling provided by the AIO cooler. Uh, and my fans are basically always at minimum. I have not heard them spin louder than than this, and I barely hear them at all. In any case, the default light modes, as you can see, this is the standard typical Ring light mode, the wave. It has a full lighted mode. As you can see, it just spins full lighted. There's a movie setting, and what this movie setting does is, as I will show you, if you open, for example, any sort of thing with sounds, it doesn't really matter what, I'll just play it on YouTube.
Très très belle tenue, mais elle est unique à le porter. Il n'y a pas 2 femmes qui portent la même tenue. C'est qui est différent en Europe.
And as you can see, the louder the sound is, the more the lights will pop up. Now, this is my first complaint of this video, which is there is no sensitivity setting for how the fan reacts to the sound. So it has to be a very loud sound for the fan to react at all. You cannot increase the sensitivity so that the fan lights up with, let's call them lower sounds. It will just have to be very loud sounds, or this mode is kind of a bit useless. The gaming sound is the same story. It is supposed to tie in with some games and light up. For example, if you're playing a first-person shooter, it lights up when you get shot, that sort of stuff, or if you're low health. I have not been able to use it in action yet. Party mode is a bit of a dimmer mode, as you can see. Thermal lights up with the temperature of your CPU. It goes from blue when it's cool to red when it is heating up a bit more. I have not seen it on anything other than blue because, as I said, this does quite a good job of cooling the CPU in my particular case. This is the cross setting. It's a bit more flashy. Shooting star will do a little shooting star synchronized around the fans. This is handy because if you have them on ports 2, 3, 4, it will simply go from one port to the other in a consecutive effect. Next up, the black hole. It's kind of the opposite of the shooting star. It's a gap in the coloring that also shoots from side to side. Aurora shines through in the full lighted in the same color. It just keeps switching from color to color along the light spectrum. Twinkle is very flashy, as you can see. Firefly slowly lights up all around in different colors. heartbeat, tries to simulate a heartbeat, I suppose. This is the stack setting. It also starts switching the colors, stacking up the different colors in the circle, as you can see. This is the roundabout setting, a swirl of different colors, switching around, different colors flowing around the ring. And this one just switches from color to color slowly according to the RGB spectrum. This is the ripple effect, blink, and pulse. And we're back at the wave default. Now, as you might have noticed in the video, a couple of the LEDs in the fan, so to speak, on two of them, were not lighting up the red color properly. And I mean the ones that you can see, let's call it on the left side of each fan. When the red goes there, it does not really light properly, it's just white instead. That's not the damage on the fans themselves, that's the software. If I would restart the software now, it would actually light them up properly. That's complaint number one with the software. Now, complaint number two. If I set it to the thermal, I cannot adjust the brightness of the LED. I cannot make it brighter or less bright at all, as I can, for example, if I have it on wave, I can make it very bright, I can shut it down with the brightness, I can adjust it easily like that, and that is not available on every mode. Now, this is my first complaint. Well, not my first by now, as you might have noticed. But yeah, the controls are kind of lacking. You can do things with the software. You can make the spin go faster. As you can see, you can make it go slower. You can have I will switch it to wave here so you can check. Where is the full lighted? Yes, you can have full lighted single color or full lighted in RGB spectrum. You can switch the colors here as you prefer. In this little wheel you can have it white. So yes, there is some degree of customization, although not as much as you might hope in fans that are this expensive. The obvious fix for this, not so much a fix, but this fans you can get a Premier controller for that takes up to 9 fans, and it is syncable to the major RGB environment synchronizers like Asus Aura, MSI, Gigabyte, but you need to have a motherboard with those headers, which is not my case right now. So I am stuck with the basic controller that comes included with the fans that only has these settings. If you were to use it with Aura, for example, you would have all the options of Aura that could be applied to these fans. So that opens up a lot more possibilities if you have a compatible motherboard and if you have the Premier controller. So there's that issue as well. Now, as you can see, I am quite pleased with the aesthetic of the fans. They are quite silent, they cool well. So in that case, as far as the hardware goes, I have no complaints. As far as the software goes, that's a different story. There's the issues I already mentioned. There's issues with sometimes settings are not saved. There's issues with, for example, the info here that has all the information, all the program settings getting completely deleted, and I had to reinstall the program to have it working again. So the software is very clunky, very, let's say, fickle, but the hardware itself is good. It's just a shame that you almost have to, rely on other software like Aura to have it working to its full capacity and full potential. That said, I will now show you the different options and prices for these fans and other fans of the sort. as a side note, and because I forgot to mention it earlier while recording, another issue with the software control for these fans is that in a lot of the light settings, you cannot select the brightness that you want on your fans. And in a build like mine, where everything is very exposed, sometimes when you are playing or just browsing and you have the fans at max settings, it's way too bright and it distracts you from the screen. You can start getting tired eyes, all that sort of thing. So yeah, in some settings you can change the brightness, like the wave, for example. But in other settings, like the thermal or the aurora, I believe, that just cycles through the different colors. The setting for brightness is completely locked. You cannot even move the slider. So yeah, that is quite of an issue. And again, that's one limitation of this RGB Plus software that I have not tried yet because I do not have an Asus motherboard, but I'm pretty sure that with Aura that can be fixed. So once again, that is a limitation from Thermaltake that they could easily fix if they built their software a bit more properly. Another issue is that when you come off sleep mode, the computer loses connection with the controller and you have to restart the controller program so that you can actually change any settings again. That is also a problem from the Thermaltake software that could be easily fixed. There have been users in their forums that have posted solutions that they have coded themselves in like 5 minutes, and that Thermaltake has simply replied with, "Oh yeah, hope that works for you, and have fun." Well, it would be very easy for them to include even those user-made fixes into their program, and yeah, it just shows a bit of a lack of commitment. So again, like I said, hardware-wise, Thermaltake stuff is quite good, really. I am very satisfied. Software-wise and support/community-wise, Thermaltake is really not amazing. Like one user there said, the time that it took the admin to write that post on their forums, it would most likely be enough time for someone to write the couple lines of code that would help the software deal with sleep mode, which is a very basic computer function these days. And yeah, it just shows a bit of a lack of interest and commitment in terms of user support. But yeah, it's just a side note and a bit of a reflection of Thermaltake as a company when it comes to software control and customer support. Anyway, have fun. So those are basically your options when it comes to these sort of fans. As I said, they're pretty good in terms of cooling. They go from 500 to 1500 RPM. They're mostly silent. They cool well. The lights are nice and all. But yeah, the software is a bit lacking, and it kind of leaves you with, if you want to draw the full potential of them, you will have to resort to other software that might be dependent on your motherboard. So yeah, that is it for our first review, and hope you guys enjoyed it. Feel free to have any questions, any comments. I'll keep an eye on that, and see you next time.